Last night, all right, let's get into this. Okay. Last night I was home. My parents just got back, and I was sitting down and talking to my mom and my father. So my mother was sitting there. It's like a tennis match हुन्छ नि त्यो के अरे टेनिस कोर्टमा हुन्छ नि के त्यो के अरे के भन्छ टेनिस रेफ्री भन्छ जज भन्छ रेफ्री भन्छ रेफ्री बिचमा बसेर हुन्छ माथि हैन this is your mom's on one side के अरे my mom's on one side my dad's on one side and then we're talking for 2 hours and my mother was telling about how I was born, right? How the whole thing came to play भनेर हैन I was born in the house.
Okay.
I was born in the house because my mother, once you said jaundice, let me add this. My mother's going to be fine if I talk about this, I hope. So my mother had jaundice when I was born. So she had crazy jaundice, right? Of course, they went to the doctors, they were at the hospital, they did the whole thing, the whole 9 yards, right? My father used to get sugarcane, papaya, the whole 9 yards, I know. So everything had happened. And one fine morning, my mother thought, it's hurting. 5 o'clock in the morning, wham, bam, I'm born.
Excellent.
At home.
Right.
So I was born, but the only tricky part was I was born 7 months. And certain days, I know. So we're just trying to calculate. Okay, 7 mahina katima ma janmeko raichu bhanera हैन. We're just trying to calculate that. We haven't finalized it.
Okay.
We're looking at the records. So they're going to do
There aren't too many records for these things, unfortunately.
35 years ago.
Of course.
And you're born at home, right?
Exactly.
And I was telling you where I was born. I was born in Naxal. So born at home. And this is, of course, now the doctors are coming, things are happening. We have somebody who is helping my mom out, and then of course they didn't know a lot of things. And you got to cut the
umbilical cord
and you got to figure this out. You got to figure that out, and they're all figuring it all out. So born, they grabbed me. So I still remember my mother saying it last night. Okay? There's heart beating in my chest, heart beating in my head, and then there's some kind of beating here as well because I was born in 7 months.
What does this mean?
I don't know. So there's like a heartbeat kind of thing here.
Like a pulse?
Yeah, there's a pulse here, pulse here. Okay? I'm so tiny. I'm so small.
That's crazy.
7 months,
premature
right?
Premature, right?
I'm sure. 7 mahina something. It's super premature, And long story short, I'll cut it very short. And so, of course, the doctors came. A lot of things happened, and all planned out. And I was raised in the home itself because they decided that screw it. We just take care of him at home. Because they didn't trust a lot of things. So, at that time, they were not sure about put him in an incubator, do this, do that. So they decided, all right, we're going to raise him at home. We're going to figure this out by ourselves. So, of course, for the first 5 years of my life, I'd struggled a lot. I had no idea about this. I found out last night that for the first 5 years of my life, I was not the best happy baby because I had a lot of problems, medical problems, because my chest were of course, I was a sick child. Most probably I had asthma, I believe, when I was young.
Baby asthma also.
I know, when I was premature, I had asthma and a lot of things. So last night I came to realize that I struggled to survive as soon as I was born. You kind of getting me what I'm trying to say?
Totally.
Janmini bittikai, it was a struggle for me to breathe. सासै फेर्न सकेको छैन आज मेरो एकजना डक्टर साथीले मलाई बुझाउँदै थियो कि कन्भर्सेसन गरिरहेको थिएँ मैले होइन अनि उसले मलाई बुझाउँदै थियो कि थाहा छैन मलाई आई रियली डोन्ट नो दिस पुल इट अप है बच्चाको चाहिँ लङ्स हुँदो रहेछ कि होइन शी वाज ट्राइङ टु एक्सप्लेन टु मी बट गट आउट अफ माई हेड होइन लङ्स आर नट फुल्ली डेभलप्ड दे डेभलप्ड एज सुन वन्स यु बोर्न then they start developing. Okay?
The lungs.
Wow.
So the first gasp of air is sort of, त्यो भन्छ नि. So how I can understand this is, when a little baby cries, like a newborn cries, and they cry loudly, they first cry sound, and then they go after 2-3 weeks or whatever, right? So I remember there was a didi who used to come to massage the baby, and she's like, no, let him cry. Don't try to spoil him. Usko lungs burst. Maybe that's a part of this thinking.
Something. Yeah. Pull it up to X. I don't want to get this wrong. And she was trying to explain it to me. There's like a layer or something. Google a young I was about to say brand new baby.
Brand new baby. I love that. Brand new baby.
Fresh baby lungs. Right?
Fresh from the mint. Fresh from the mint.
At what age is a baby's lungs fully
36
developed? Weeks. Your baby's lungs are fully formed and ready to take their first breath after the birth. I know. The digestive system is fully developed and a baby will be able to feed if they're born.
36 weeks is 9 months. So at 7 months and some days, you were definitely not fully developed, lungs-wise.
Yeah. So anyway, so I came to... So my parents made me understand last night that as soon as I was born, I was struggling to survive, right? Yeah. My mother said they used to put me in one, of course, and they put me on one side, right? So I was so weak and so tiny, that I couldn't turn to the other side. So I was just there, surviving, right? So for the first 5 years of my life, I was just surviving, Mannsi. I was just surviving to stay alive.
Do you have any memories of anything in those first 5 years?
No. The only memories I have is going to elites, going to school. That's my first memory that I have is I do not want to wear underwear. Was my
Okay, that's a nice memory to have, if I may put it like that.
One of the first memories is that and the tree in the school and monkey climb and just looking at like older kids trying to do that. Those were my memories, No, you were saying?
You may not remember anything consciously, but you've registered it in somewhere, Laksamalai. Because these are core memories. Okay? These are things like, your first few months and years. They're instrumental in your development mentally, but I think also emotionally. Maybe memories, kahin na kahin store hunsa jasto lagcha. Because there are these interesting studies always about, you have these people who have like a great memory. I don't know, I was watching this random video, about this girl who has like a photographic memory, like a real photographic memory. Okay? And they took her for a flight, a helicopter ride over New York. And this is the first time she's in New York. And they take her and she's like, 10-15 minutes, whatever the length was. She comes back and they give her like a long piece of paper and she sketches the panorama down to the last detail. Kun jalma, kasto phul cha, kasto ke cha, everything. Okay? So she's got a photographic memory. And then they did a lot of like studies and they asked her a lot of things. And what were you doing? And she's like, 3 days after I was born, I kicked the steering wheel of the car when my dad tried to take me home from the hospital. Now, these are things that you can't verify. There's no way of verifying it, right? But the parents try to pull out her oldest photographs.
Yeah.
And the parents are like, okay, what happened this day? She's like, I was wearing this, then this one bumped their head, then that happened. And she gave certain accurate kind of images, and she managed to sort of literally, vividly point out details. Okay? So this scientist is like, what? Each one of us has these memories stored in. This girl just has access. And at will, she can go back and access that memory and pull it out and bring it out when she wants to. Not all of us can do that. There are hamro pani त्यो storage system ma kahin na kahin file bhaisakya cha. We just don't know how to access it.
I'm sure we
Maybe
will.
It's there somewhere.
I'm sure it is, right? So right from the get-go, there's no plan B for me.
Yeah.
Plan B is death. I came to realize that last night when I was listening to my mom and dad, right? Plan B is death. If I don't breathe, I ain't making it, man. No chance. A 7 month something days, we're figuring that out. By Wednesday, we'll figure it out, 7 minutes ago, it was like, chance छैन. And I'm talking about 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's no plan B. And I came to realize that last night, that there's no plan B for me at all. So there's always going to be plan A. And that's the reason why I've been pushing for plan A all the time, because I don't have a plan B.
Yeah.
And I never make plan Bs, because you have to... I work so hard to make sure that that plan A succeeds. Because as soon as you have a buffer or plan B, that A is not going to... You're just losing out on plan A.
Yep.
Right? त्यो जे काम गर्छु भनेर लागेछ हैन त्यो भएन भने म यो गर्छु भनेर सोच्ने बित्तिकै there's a mistake, right? So
absolutely.
So I came to realize that last night that, okay, so probably that is the fighter mentality that I have as soon as I was born.
That shaped you in some way.
Right? So that's the same conversation that I was carrying forward with. Even with these people, XYZ, I give example of politicians, right? You have something in you that shapes you to do what you do. It's right there as soon as you're born.
Yeah.
I feel it that way. That's my own personal belief.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah, I like that. You know, maybe it's in you, maybe it's around you as well. Huna sakcha hola, haina? Nature versus nurture, your same conversation, haina? In your case, maybe nature. The fact that you were born tiny and you had these complications, maybe that really helped. For helped in a different way, in a very off way, in an inverse way maybe. Mero lagi, I think conversations and words were around me always.
If you love what we are doing, make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you very much for watching us on YouTube. Make sure that you also listen to us on Spotify. This program is brought to you by Vyasa Studios.